Greetings, everyone. This is Terry Naturally with another edition of Terry Talks Nutrition. We're here every Saturday and Sunday morning from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we are here primarily for you. I believe if you're listening to this program, you have a health need or you want to reverse a condition that you are struggling with, or you have some health preventative measures that you would like to learn more about. And we are always here to share with you. But we are only sharing information with you that is scientifically documented and evidence-based. But we don't make decisions for you. We don't tell you what to do. We offer you suggestions and recommendations. We'd never tell you to go off your drugs. That's a question that you have to ask your doctor, whether or not you should go off drugs, or maybe you don't want to take a drug, and maybe you do learn of a natural alternative that's actually equally as effective as your drug or more effective than your drug. But it's not wise to go off your drugs without talking to your doctor. But remember, drugs do not make you healthy. But they also may have an effect to save your life. But that's a big decision to make. And a big, I guess you have to kind of weigh the facts, because you know you're going to face side effects. And some side effects are very serious, maybe more serious than the condition that you're struggling with. I remember the time when I listened to a TV ad for a drug that could reduce asthma. But then in the list of side effects that was also in the commercial, listed a side effect that I don't think anyone wants to face. The last side effect from taking that drug to reduce asthma could cause death. Wow, that's a serious side effect. No, everybody does not die, but it is possible that somebody would die from that drug. So you have to be very careful as to how you weigh the decision as to whether or not you want to take a drug. That's a decision that's made between you and your physician. But you can always get healthier, and in time, your doctor will say, there's no question, you don't need the drug. And food is our best medicine. It's the only medicine our body requires. And the food that we should be consuming contains all the necessary food factors to maintain good health. But we are not eating in America the type of diet that would keep us healthy. Our diet has changed drastically in the last 50 to 70 years. And we have gone downhill so fast in the last 50 to 70 years. We are the sickest country in the world. Out of 37 industrialized nations that are monitored by the World Health Organization, we are 37th, the last country in the world in terms of health. And the food companies, manufacturers, make very cheap, unhealthy foods that are delicious. That's their trick. Make everything sweet and delicious, and they'll want it. And you do want it. But that doesn't keep you healthy. And only food keeps you healthy. So when you're sick, it's because you are lacking a nutrient, lacking something in a food that you should be eating, but you're not. We need good proteins. We need plenty of good fats. And that's my subject of today, is a good fat, because fats are very healthy, but the right kind of fats. There are bad fats as well. So we'll talk about a very special form of fat that'll keep you exceptionally healthy. I call it a super oil, a super fat. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you some healthy recommendations that is quite unique and very healthy. It'll add to your health for sure. It's I think it's the best superfood of all. But we have to make changes. If you're on the American diet and you're eating a lot of carbohydrates and sugar, and you're not healthy, you're fatigued, exhausted, you're just tired of being sick. And everything that goes around, you catch it. You've got allergies, you've got infections, you've got fatigue, you have heart disease, type 2 diabetes, your joints ache and hurt, you don't feel good. That's not the way you should be. You should feel awesome, fantastic, unbelievable. And you can. Absolutely, you can. By changing your lifestyle choices. We choose the lifestyle choices that either make us healthy or make us unhealthy. We are not unhealthy or sick because God is mad at us, or just because we are unfortunate, or because our parents are unhealthy. Oh, my grandma had that. It just runs in the family. No, it does not run in the family. The diet runs in the family. And that's what makes us sick. 50%, almost 50% of all Americans, black, white, Hispanic, all Americans, 50% are obese. That is being very unhealthy. All those fat cells, even if you're just overweight, any fat cells are inflammatory fat cells. They are spewing out inflammation all the time. And inflammation makes you chronically hurt, chronically ache, pain, and affects heart disease, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, allergies. Everything is involved with oxidative stress and inflammation. And we can use a diet and include the diet that is an anti-inflammatory diet. Means it stops inflammation or doesn't increase inflammation. It's not the start of inflammation, but the American diet is an inflammatory diet. It increases the inflammation in your body. So while you're taking drugs to stop the pain, or you're taking supplements that are pain-relieving supplements to stop the pain, you're still causing the pain because of the diet that is causing inflammation. And inflammation causes pain. So it doesn't make sense to spend money on supplements or on painkillers and then still eat a diet that causes pain. It does not make sense. And today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, fats, because we have been so brainwashed to believe that fats are bad for us. And actually fats, we can't live without them. And some fats are called essential. And essential fats are required on a daily basis for a variety of reasons. And when fats were demonized in the 1950s and 60s for no reason whatsoever, scientific reason. A couple of doctors had theories that fats may be bad for us based on some observational information or studies. Observational means nothing. This means you observed something. And your observation could be totally wrong. No scientific studies ever have proven that fats are bad for us. In fact, saturated fats are good for us. Butter is good for us. Cream, lard, eggs, and good, healthy olive oil. And I said some time ago, several weeks ago, I wanted to do a show primarily on olive oil because I think it is the superfood of all foods today. Olive oil. And very few people in America consume olive oil. And if they do, it's occasionally. And they may dip some bread in olive oil. But in the Mediterranean countries that also have been singled out as being extremely healthy, less heart disease, less strokes, less all diseases, and a longer life and a higher quality of life. Take France, for example. France consumes a lot of fats. Eggs, butter, cream, foie gras, duck fat, goose fat. That may or may not be your choice, but it still comes down to the French consume a large body of fats. And they smoke. And they drink. And they have less heart disease and strokes than other countries around the world, especially America. But they consume a lot of olive oil and wine. Both contain a very high quantity of a compound called polyphenols. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the subject of olive oil. I won't mention wine today, but wine is also a superior food if you don't exceed a excessive level of wine. You don't drink a bottle on the weekend. You drink a glass or two maybe daily, or maybe every other day. Wine contains nutritional value that may reduce heart disease and strokes. But now let's get on with olive oil. It's the fat that is great for your health, your heart, your brain, and every organ in your body. Now, all oils are fats, otherwise known as lipids. And some oils are very unhealthy. So let's start with the unhealthy fats, because there are plenty of unhealthy fats. But to say in general that fats are bad for us is absolutely misleading and not fair to the consumer. Now, vegetable oils are probably the worst fat available. And I don't know why they call them vegetable oils, because they are not made from vegetables. They're made from seeds and beans, not vegetables. You don't see broccoli oil. You don't see cabbage oil. You don't see pepper oils. But vegetable oils, not. And they're a mastery blend of oils, usually from corn and soybean, and sometimes sunflower, safflower, grapeseed oil, canola oil, cottonseed oil, all of these fats, and peanut oil. These are all bad fats. They are excessively high in omega-6 fatty acids. We only need a smidgen of linoleic acid. That's our omega-6. We need a very, very, very tiny amount daily. But because manufacturers, food manufacturers, prepare so many ultra-processed foods, and they use corn and soybean oils excessively in their production, which are both bad fats, and they're very cheap, and that's why they use them. These oils are highly refined. They are boiled because that loosens up the fiber and releases the oil. So when the oil is pressed from the corn or the soybean, once it's been heated, you can press much more oil out of the corn, soybean, or sunflower seeds, or whatever it might be. So that makes them unstable and makes them highly inflammable, to have more possibility of inflammation. To avoid all these oils and avoid the foods that contain all these oils. And some oils are very healthy. Extra virgin olive oil is the premier oil today. Now here's what Mary Flynn said, Dr. Mary Flynn. She is the associate professor at Brown University and has been researching olive oil for over 30 years. And I think after 30 years of researching a substance or a subject for 30 years, you become an expert. And she is the expert on olive oil. And this is what she has to say about olive oil. She says, published studies show that no food, no other food, comes close to extra virgin olive oil for the prevention and the treatment of chronic diseases. Wow. That is quite a statement, and I hold it to be true. Dr. Mary Flynn has researched olive oil for 30 years, and to make a statement like that is a major statement. Now, all the people in the Mediterranean countries, they have a better quality of life and less diseases than we have anywhere else, but much more so than America. But olive oil is consumed in very high quantities in these Mediterranean countries: France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, all these countries, and Spain, all these countries consume large quantities of olive oil every day. In fact, I've talked to people from the Mediterranean country, and I wanted to know exactly about how they go around taking so much olive oil. They don't just drizzle it on a salad. When you drizzle it on a salad, a lot of the oil that you drizzle on the salad isn't consumed. After you finish your salad, look at the salad bowl, and you have all this oil at the bottom of the dish, wasting. So they actually drink. Did I say drink? Yes. Drink olive oil. They said from when they were younger children, their mothers would give them a shot glass of olive oil to drink every day. Now in America, they look at the national average of consumption of olive oil, and it's less than 1 liter. of olive oil annually per individual. In most of the countries in the Mediterranean area, their consumption is between 15 and 20 liters of olive oil per day. Oh, excuse me, per year. You'd be swimming in that olive oil. But about 20 liters per year. That is on an average of 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil daily. In America, it's about a teaspoon every week. We just don't consume olive oil in America. It's not a practice or a habit that we have become accustomed to. But now look at all the information on olive oil, but especially good olive oil, because there are fakes, and there's very poor quality olive oil, and there's refined olive oil. So you want to make sure that it's extra virgin olive oil. So what does extra virgin mean? Extra virgin is the highest quality of olive oil. Extra virgin oil is more expensive than lower grades, but it's also much, much healthier for you. The olives are crushed, stirred, and strained mechanically. No solvents, no chemicals, no heat. So it's a very cold process, COLD, because they do not heat like heating and boiling corn and soybeans to press the oil. Everything is meant to get the most out of it, to make it cheaper. Extra virgin olive oil is treated in a totally different way. It has better flavor. And here's where it really stands out. Because olive oil is a monounsaturated fatty acid, oleic acid, omega-9. Now, there are other oils like that, like macadamia, pecan oil. So there are other, avocado, another one that came to my mind, avocado oil. There are also oleic acid, monounsaturated fatty acids, omega-9. But they don't have what olive oil has, which I'll get to in just a moment. Pure or refined oils, processed oils, and even olive oil goes through this for cheap quality of oil when it's exposed to heat and solvents, which alters the flavor of the oil and reduces the stability and the profile of the oil. So be cautious. Even extra virgin olive oil can be sold at a very low quality. There are fakes. They really are not extra virgin, but they label them as that way. And there are a lot of fakes in the industry. So be very careful. I'm going to give you some of my suggestions as to what oil to consume. Cheaters, olive oil cheaters, use low-grade, ultra-refined olive oil or substitute cheap oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, and some of the other cheap oils, vegetable oils, to stretch the supply and make more money for themselves. These oils do not have the same health quantity as extra virgin olive oil and their antioxidant health benefits as extra virgin olive oil, and do not have the same flavor or taste, and they go rancid very quickly. In 2018, independent testing in Spain found that 50% of all the extra virgin olive oil products tested were not extra virgin. A previous study in the U.S. found that 69% of imported olive oil was not even extra virgin olive oil, although it was stated on the label as extra virgin olive oil. So be very careful. I like olive oil to such an extent that I have done close to 2 years of research on olive oil, and the companies that I've learned to trust, because I got to know those companies very intimately and know that they're not cheating, know that they have a very, very high grade olive oil. So we're going to be pausing here in just a few seconds to let the program have some commercial time and also for the station to identify itself. But I want to come back and give you a closer look at a few brands that I have in my home that are on my shelf, and I sometimes rotate them. Although I found about 5 or 6 that I really, really like. And I have the pictures of those olive oils coming up that you can look at, and you can actually see the brands that I trust and that I have become known to and that I don't mind recommending because I know they are the highest quality brands available today. Now, if you want to see them, go to my website, terrytalksnutrition.com, and pull up this radio show program on olive oil, and all the slides and all the information, all the pictures, all the labels of the products will be available for you to see. So we'll come back right after these commercials. Don't go away. We have a lot of information. And you know, this is Terry, naturally, with Terry Talks Nutrition. Back right after this. And welcome back, my friends. We're back here with Terry Talks Nutrition. I'm Terry, naturally. We're going to be talking more about olive oil for the rest of the program. Letting you know that it's one of the most, in my opinion, is one of the best superfoods of all foods. It's going to give you more bang for your buck health-wise than any other food that I know. It's my choice. Olive oil is exceptionally healthy. Not because it's oil. Because as I mentioned before, macadamia, avocado, pecan oil, they are all the same oil as olive oil. But they're not as healthy as olive oil because there is a compound in the olive oil that we should have daily to make us healthy. And I'll get to that in a moment. But here are some of the oils. One of the brand name is Lucini, Lucini, organic virgin olive oil, excellent olive oil. Another one is called the Governor, which is an excellent olive oil from Corfu in Greece. Both of these are excellent. The other one is, I'll spell it for you, it's Kyoord. It's an excellent oil. And then extra virgin olive oil from another Spanish company, excellent olive oil. You really need to go on my website to look at these oils to make sure that you're getting a really, really good quality of oil. You want an oil that leaves a sting in the back of your throat. If you take it off the spoon, which I hope you do, use it as a medicine. Take medicines off the spoon, right? You don't put medicines in your food. If you have to take a liquid medicine, you use a spoon. This is a liquid medicine. This is medicinal olive oil. And there's much clinical research behind olive oil that I'm going to introduce you to, what it can do for you. But when you take olive oil off the spoon with nothing else in your mouth, when you swallow it, it's going to leave a little bit of a peppery, spicy, tinging sensation in the back of your throat. That's to ensure you that it has a very, very high concentration of these compounds that make you healthy. The olive oil is just delivering these compounds. So olive oil is no different than macadamia nut, except that it has a very high exceptional level of these compounds where macadamia does not. Pecan oil does not. And nor does avocado oil. So now, why do you want to take olive oil? The benefits of olive oil found in clinical research. It raises your good cholesterol, the HDL. It lowers and reduces the LDL, commonly called the bad cholesterol, and prevents oxidation to protect against heart disease. It prevents bone loss and bone thinning, commonly called osteoporosis. It reduces depression, improves digestion, reduces risk of diabetes, and it is an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-cancer. These are the benefits of consuming olive oil on a daily basis. 3 to 4 tablespoons a day. What about preventing heart disease? Now, this is really unbelievable. Researchers recently reported that replacing just 5 grams, less than a half a teaspoon of butter, margarine, or mayonnaise in your diet with the same amount of olive oil reduced the risk of heart disease by 5 to 7%. The same researchers found that eating at least a half a teaspoon of olive oil per day could lower the risk of heart attacks by 20%. Just a half a teaspoon. The Mediterranean country people, they consume 3 to 4 tablespoons a day. But this is just a half a teaspoon. If you can't get down to half a teaspoon, it reduces heart attacks by 20%. Drugs don't do that. And you'll reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease by 15% and lower the risk of coronary heart disease by 21%. These are amazing levels. And it reduces the risk of heart attacks and stroke. Researchers divided 63 adults with obesity, but no history of heart disease, diabetes, or smoking. And they divided them into groups based on how often they consumed olive oil. One group consumed an ounce a week or less, 1 to 3 times a week. So the first group was once a week or less. The second group, 1 to 3 times a week. The third group, 4 times per week. These are weekly, not daily. And the researchers measured each participant's level of platelet aggregation. That means clotting, blood clots. Platelet aggregation is one of the first steps in blood clotting. Clotting for wound healing is necessary and beneficial, but not when it is clogging the arteries or going into the lung or the brain. Abnormal clotting in blood vessels increase the risk of heart attacks and stroke. Obesity is associated with increased levels of platelet aggregation. One study found platelet aggregation was 77% higher in obese women versus normal weight women. The result of this study was obese people with the highest intake of olive oil had the lowest platelet aggregation, even though they were obese, meaning it reduced the risk of heart attacks. That is amazing. Olive oil. You can freely use olive oil. It's a medicinal food beyond comprehension. And it improves kidney function. Researchers looked at the effects of high-quality extra virgin olive oil in people with chronic kidney disease. Without proper kidney function, waste products build up, causing swelling, nausea, weakness, shortness of breath, and if untreated, complete kidney failure and death. After 9 weeks of consuming 2.5 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil daily, the subjects experienced increased kidney function, reduced uric acid levels, reduced inflammation, a 14% decrease in C-reactive protein and triglyceride level. And also, we have all gone through COVID-19. Can olive oil and these compounds that are known to improve the health of the individual are called polyphenols. Polyphenols are compounds that are coming from plant life. They're found in a variety of fruits and vegetables. One of the highest concentration of these compounds called polyphenols that really improve the quality of our health are found in olives, and therefore olive oil. And they have the highest concentration and strength of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. And they reduce the symptoms in the early stages of COVID and prevent severe or lingering illness called the long haul COVID, when people no longer have an active infection, but they have severe side effects that are lingering on after the infection has been eliminated. Losing their hair, chronic fatigue, tiredness. These are some of the signs and symptoms of the long haul COVID, meaning that it stays on longer than necessary. 2 studies attempting to find answers. Study 1, 60 patients over the age of 50 admitted to the hospital with mild COVID symptoms, treated with olive oil polyphenols in addition to standard medications for 3 weeks. And study 2, polyphenols from olives plus flavonoids from oranges given to patients with lingering COVID symptoms, lasting weeks, months, and some up to a year. After the initial infection was cured, they now are struggling with fatigue, losing their hair, joint pain, memory loss. It has shown that olive oil can directly improve the long haul symptoms. COVID infection causes inflammation in the endothelium cells, the cells that line the blood vessels, while olive oil polyphenols have been shown to reduce inflammation and improve the endothelial function of the blood vessels. So olive oil has a huge effect on so many health parameters. And it preserves mental function. Researchers in Greece tested the effects of the Mediterranean diet alone versus the Mediterranean diet plus either extra virgin olive oil or a very special early harvest extra virgin olive oil that is high in these polyphenols, also referred to as phenolic, these phenolic acids, phenolic, phenolic acids. These are the bioactive compounds that have a very, very strong biologically active effect in the body based on olive oil. And these adults were content with mild cognitive impairment, dementia, a mild case of Alzheimer's disease. After 1 year versus the Mediterranean diet alone, or both groups on the diet plus olive oil, had significant improvement in mental function. This study builds on earlier research, which found that in animal models of Alzheimer's disease, extra virgin olive oil helps preserve mental function and protects against Alzheimer's disease. You can understand why I feel this is one of the most super foods available today. And in the case of mental function, relieves depression. 12,000 men and women, average age of 37 years of age, who were healthy and free of depression, were tracked for 6 years. The researchers documented dietary fat intake, amount and type, butter, olive oil, seed oil, etc., and recorded any diagnosis or depression or prescription for antidepressants. Remember what I said? We are so misled about fats being bad for us. Healthy fats we could not live without. And the more healthy fats we consume, the better. And this result of the study, the highest intake of healthy fats, especially from olive oil, reduced the risk of depression by almost 50% versus people with little or no intake of olive oil. You could almost think olive oil is a drug. Well, it's not a drug, but it is a medicine. And it's nature's medicine. What about low-grade inflammation, which is also associated with depression? Olive oil contains these polyphenols. And that's why olive oil is so unique and so healthy compared to other oils of the same kind, because of these polyphenols that are found in olive oil and in the olives themselves. You don't find these polyphenols in nuts and seeds to the extent that you do in olives. And they have very powerful and important anti-inflammatory activity. It also repairs leaky gut. Leaky gut or intestinal permeability means that the intestinal barrier, intestinal tract in the gut isn't tight. There's holes in the lining of the gut, which allows toxins, undigested food particles, and bacteria to pass out of the intestines and directly into the bloodstream. That's how we have allergies. When we don't digest certain foods, or we have foreign toxins come into our body, if they stay in the intestinal tract, we'll just eliminate them. But because we have a leaky gut, there's holes in the gut, like a screen door. And certain things can go through the holes of the screen, which is called leaky gut. There's compounds leaking from the gut. Think of what's in your gut. And some of that is leaking into your blood. And anything that gets into the blood does not recognize, it causes a reaction. Particularly an allergy reaction. And a leaky gut can lead to inflammatory and allergic conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue, and rheumatoid arthritis. Researchers tested the effects of extra virgin olive oil in 20 people with pre-diabetes. The subjects were tested twice. First, after eating a lunch with no olive oil, and then again a few weeks later after eating the same lunch, but with additional extra virgin olive oil. In both groups of the subjects, extra virgin olive oil reduced post-meal blood sugar levels by 20%. And additionally, there was a 37% reduction in markers of a leaky gut and intestinal inflammation. A previous study by the same researchers found that olive oil increased the population of healthy bacteria in the intestines, which also helped prevent intestinal damage and leaky gut. Many of the Mediterranean countries, for people that have a digestive problem, a gallbladder problem, a leaky gut problem, any intestinal problem, they recommend that olive oil be taken on an empty stomach because it is medicine for the gut, medicine for the intestinal tract, medicine for leaky gut. And not only all of these, which I've already covered, but olive oil keeps the bones strong. In a study of Spanish women, higher intake of olive oil was associated with significantly increased bone density versus women with low olive oil intake. A similar study in Italy found that people eating a Mediterranean diet, and specifically a diet that's high in olive oil, were much less likely to be diagnosed with osteoporosis than those with diets low in olive oil. And finally, again in Spain, researchers followed older adults for almost 10 years and found that those with the highest intake of olive oil were 51% less likely to experience a broken bone or bone fracture than those with the lowest level of olive oil. I believe that everybody should take a multi-vitamin and mineral supplement to make sure you're getting all your vitamins and minerals in meaningful levels that the body requires. And then polyphenols is the best supplement, best food you can include in your diet. Lots of fruits and vegetables contain polyphenols. It just means that olive oil has one of the highest levels and the most effective levels of polyphenols that are very powerful anti-inflammatories, antioxidants. They're stronger than most any other food. That's why olive oil sticks out as one of the premier foods for health. Keeps your mouth healthy. Practitioners of general medicine recommended olive oil to keep the mouth fresh and the entire body healthy. This is a condition that many people like to follow. To swish a high-quality olive oil around in your mouth for at least 5 minutes and up to 20 minutes. They say then to spit the oil into the trash. I would not. I would swallow it. Because everything that you're pulling out of your body is consistent with your body. Some people say you should not swallow it, as the oil is full of bacteria. But the bacteria was there in the beginning. I would swallow the oil, and the oil reduces the ability of the bacteria to stick in the mouth and can prevent plaque formation. Traditional medicine practitioners also believe that oil pulling or swishing can help whiten teeth, reduce inflammation and bleeding of the gums, and freshen the breath. To live longer, you have to use olive oil, my opinion. My recommendation. Health and diet data was collected from over 90,000 men and women for almost 30 years. What a great study. All participants were healthy and free of heart disease and cancer at the start of the study. At the end of the study, those that had the highest daily intake of olive oil had a 20% reduction in death from heart disease, a 17% reduction in death from cancer, a 30% reduction in risk of death from Alzheimer's disease or other diseases of the brain, 18% reduction in risk of death from respiratory diseases. So try to get 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil daily. That is the premier dosage. If you can get by with 1 to 1.5 tablespoons, okay. You're on the bottom level, but it's okay. A tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half would be a good start. I started there, and then I started edging up to where I take anywhere from 4 to 6 tablespoons of olive oil daily. It is so healthy, so good for you, and reduces so many of these common diseases that are killing Americans today. You will want to improve the quality of your health with this superfood, medicinal quality olive oil. It is so superior. So what to remember? Well, first of all, choose a very reputable manufacturer. I give you some choices. Extra virgin, cold pressed. And then learn what good olive tastes like. Pure extra virgin olive oil has a peppery, spicy, tingly taste after you swallow it. You'll get kind of a cough after you swallow the oil. It gives you a little catch in the back of your throat. Because that is the taste of the polyphenols, not the oil. Oil is bland and buttery. But the polyphenols, and you want something that's very high in polyphenols, higher than 250 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams. In a study, consumer study of 44% of the subjects could not tell the difference between low-quality rancid oil, it might smell like wine or vinegar, or have a metallic or musty flavor, and the extra virgin olive oil. And always store it away from the heat and direct light, but not in a very cold place, because it actually coagulates. It'll get kind of thickened, and that's not the best way to use olive oil. So don't put it in the refrigerator. Use it daily. Keep it on your counter and room temperature. Keep the cap on all the time. I don't like when they bring olive oil to the table in a restaurant and they have it in a cuvette that has an open spigot. So air is being always absorbed into the oil. We don't want that. You want a bottle that you can close yourself every time you use the oil. Keep it closed. It should have a way to prevent oxygen from going into the bottle, because oxygen, light, heat destroy the oil. So you don't want a oil that's in a clear glass bottle, a transparent glass bottle. You want a brown bottle or green bottle, but you want a bottle that is colored so it prevents the uptake of the light, and you want to keep it closed to prevent the oxygen, and you want to keep it away from the heat. So you're making a good place to prevent oxidation of the oil. Start using olive oil today. You won't see a change tomorrow, but over time, you're going to prevent a lot of diseases that are killing Americans today. This is just another superfood that you can add to your diet today and benefit greatly. Thank you, my friend. I'm all out of time as well. This hour goes by way, way too fast. So say a prayer for this great, great country. And, God bless you, my friends, and God bless this country. And say a prayer for this crazy world that we reunite as an American country as we had a long time ago. It's got to come back. Have a beautiful and fantastic day.
Thank you for listening to Terry Talks Nutrition Weekly Show. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, including Apple, Google, and iHeartRadio.